Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Sheffield United Church and our worship this Sunday morning. We hope that everybody finds something of meaning and inspiration as together we worship God in this place. Wanted to just update you on Janice. I think that most of you will know that she had the right knee replaced on Thursday. She's doing well, and tomorrow, possibly even today, she'll be coming home, and then her nurse will try to look after her.
As best you can.
Which will likely be a challenge for her. But patience is my strong suit. Sometimes. Anyway, thank you for emails and cards and so on, and well wishes, because she much appreciates it. I understand this is John Stone's last Sunday with us. He's returning to his other abode in Minnesota, so it's been great to have you with us for the summer, John, and best wishes back in Minnesota. I sent this around in an email. Got a note from Dave Kempkes the other day, and he had heard from Lisa Bucknell, and Lloyd Bucknell, who was a member here in this church at one time, is in palliative care in Ottawa. So hopefully he will keep progressing, but it doesn't look that good for him since he's already in palliative care. So I know that you will keep him and all of the family in your thoughts and prayers. Want to have a look at upcoming services. Next Sunday is Worldwide Communion, and then on Thanksgiving Sunday on October the 13th, Rockton will be joining us for a joint service. Hopefully there's going to be well, not hopefully, for sure, there will be a joint choir, and Grant Metzner will be playing here that Sunday, and Suzanne Wood from Rockton, and he will coordinate a joint choir. Practices will be on Thursday evenings at 7:30 at Rockton for the joint anthem portion for half an hour, and then Sheffield folks can leave, and Rockton will continue with their choir practice. And then on October 20th, that's not that far away now, it's Sheffield's 201st anniversary. So we look forward to these various events in October. Last Sunday during the children's night, remember I showed you that video of Chase Birch, the little girl who the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and all their entourage sang for her. Well, apparently that video was a little bit older than I thought it was. Eleanor Wood did some investigating about that, and in 2012 she was declared cancer-free for 5 years. So that's, I thought you would like to know the nice end to that story. If you want a piano, notice at the bottom of page 5, if you want a piano, make us an offer, and the one in the basement is yours. So don't pass up a good thing. I want to turn over to page 6 to announcements there, and I'll leave most of them for your own reading, but I want to refer to the second one from the bottom about accessibility difficulties and the new chairlift and stairway. It was hoped initially, of course, that this would be carried out during the summer, and due to building permits and other complications, it didn't take place during the summer, but revised plans have gone in, and it's hopefully now to be completed in probably early to mid-November, something like that, maybe just after the beef supper or something like that. Will take a couple weeks for it to be done. So it's still happening, it's just a matter of a slight delay. There will be plans that will be posted on the bulletin board downstairs when Rob Grundy has the official go-ahead, and so you'll be able to look and see exactly how that project will take place. I want my youngest grandson, Clark, Sandra and Derek's boy, was 4 in August, and he started junior kindergarten all day, every day. Now he's very verbally articulate and all of that, but it seems to me he's still pretty darn small for going to junior kindergarten. And there was a couple of things came around the other day that somebody sent me, and I thought they sort of fit Clark. This one is titled Opinions. On the first day of school, a first grader handed his teacher a note from his mother. The note read, "The opinions expressed by this child are not necessarily those of his parents." That sounds like Clark for all the world. And then this one too. A little girl had just finished her first week of school. "I'm just wasting my time," she said to her mother. "I can't read, I can't write, and they won't let me talk." Are there birthdays to be celebrated?
Mary's birthday.
Mary's birthday today?
Yeah.
Right today? Well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one. Others to celebrate. Any anniversaries? Thank you. I think Danica and her Grandpa Ray are going to, or Grandma Joyce, one or the other, are going to lead our opening for us.
God created the world.
Jesus, the living water of life. The peace and grace of Jesus Christ be with you all.
And also with you. Autumn leaves, autumn sky, autumn sun.
A reminder of the beauty that surrounds us in God's world.
Autumn leaves, autumn sky, autumn sun.
A reminder of light and warmth that surrounds us in God's world.
Autumn leaves, autumn sky, autumn sun.
A reminder of the way things change, but each season brings more special character into God's world.
In all seasons, we rejoice.
And give thanks for God's abundance.
We praise you, Creator. Hymn number 293 in Voices United. We praise you, Creator, in mercy Let us join together in our prayer of approach. Let us pray. Your creation, O God, is a gift to us, your people. Time and again, you provide us with abundance. Time and again, you reveal to us your legacy and love. Time and again, we are blessed more than we can even imagine. And we gather in this place to give thanks and praise. Amen. Now I invite you to turn your voices, unite more voices, and join in singing hymn number 147, God, help us to treasure these moments of mystery. How was everybody this morning? Good, great, good week? So did I. Now I'm going to see if I'm pretty sure, yes I do, I got something in here today for us, and it's a little bit of a story. But first I want to ask you a question. Have you ever done something you were sorry for? I mean, we don't have to have a big confession here. But, you have, you know what? How did it feel?
Depressing.
Felt depressing, yeah. Do you know what your conscience is? Do you know what the conscience is? Who would like to describe what a conscience is for me?
An inner voice that helps you from right and wrong.
Yeah, the inner voice that tells us what's right and wrong. And maybe what we did that we're sorry for was something that was wrong. But you know what then it means to make amends? is a true story. He worked very hard at his job. He was what was called, and you've maybe heard this term, a workaholic. He spent many, many hours of every day working at his job. He never went to his children's baseball games. He left his mother, his wife, her name was Elizabeth, to do all the work, look after the kids, run here and there, and do everything. He wouldn't go on vacation. Whenever the children and the mother went, they went alone because Dad wouldn't go. Then one day, what do you think happened to him? Any guess? Yeah.
You realized that he was doing something wrong?
What helped him to realize that, do you think? Well, I'll tell you. He lost his job. His job was the thing that gave everything in his life meaning, and he was suddenly let go by where he worked. And he found himself without a job now, and he had lots of time to think. And the more he thought about things, he realized that how he had neglected other people, his family and other people, while he was so preoccupied with doing his thing, his work. So he decided to try to make amends, to try to make up for others to whom he had done wrong, and to devote a whole year to doing that. Now, for example, he had borrowed one time when he was away with a friend on a trip, $600, and he never paid it. And so over the years, he lost complete track of his friend because he really didn't want to talk to his friend because he knew he still owed him this $600. The more he thought about it now, it felt like not 600 anymore, but maybe 6 million. That's the way it started to loom in his mind, that it was so big. He finally tracked down his friend, he sent him a letter and enclosed a check for the $600 that he owed him for a long time now. What do you think the friend's reaction was? Any guess? You don't know, right?
He was happy?
He was happy. Not only that, he was happy mainly because they had reconnected, but the other thing, he had forgotten long ago about the $600, and he never knew why they had become separated and didn't have anything to do with one another anymore. He'd forgotten all about the $600. It didn't mean that much to him, but he was glad to get reconnected. The important thing that this man, Lee Kravitz, figured out was that it's important to recognize all the way you go along through your life what's really important to you and the people around you, and then when you've done something wrong, to make amends for it. He has written a book called Unfinished Business, and I would look forward to reading it because I think it would have some good lessons about life. So that's just something for us to think about as we go along. Make sure we take care of each other and the people who are important to us. And if we do something wrong, to find out a way to say, I'm sorry. Let's have our prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I invite you to turn to page 854 in Voices United. We have a responsive song this morning. And there is a refrain at the end that we will sing together. And perhaps we can sing the refrain once through before we start the song. Be still, my soul, for God is on your side. O God, my heart is not proud, my eyes are not raised too high.
I do not occupy myself with matters too great for me, with marvels that are beyond me.
But I have stilled and quieted my soul, like a weaned child nestling to its mother. Like a child is my soul within me.
O Israel, hope in God, from this time forth and forevermore.
Be still, my soul, for God is on your side. Reading from Matthew, the 5th chapter, verses 23 and 24. So, when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First, be reconciled to your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. I sent an old friend anniversary greetings this morning. It's their anniversary today. And just shortly before I left for church, he replied with a little message of thank you, and then he said, preach well and short to the family down there today. So you'll have to decide well, and I'm not sure how short, he didn't say, but I'll get some more water. Well, it's been a busy week in our town. Some folks are still busy doing up preserves. Others are busy making things to exhibit in the fall fair that's coming up in October. Still others are busy now searching the internet, looking for good deals on a condo to rent in Florida during the winter. Frida Nugglesworth has been busy. Not physically busy, mentally busy, which can be just as exhausting, and Frida is exhausted because she has not been sleeping well lately, spent far too many hours tossing and turning into the wee hours of the night, mulling things over in her mind. She remembered seeing on some TV program that if you can't sleep, the best thing to do is to get up and read something light, something relaxing, something that will help you get to sleep. So this past Tuesday night, around 3 a.m., she got up and went to her living room. She likes poetry, so she picked up a book of poems from the bookcase, sat down in her lazy boy rocker and tilted it back, and she decided just to open it up and read whatever she happened to turn to. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, stopped right there at that first line. She was already weak and weary from far too much pondering. So she didn't sense that a poem which started out that way was going to be that enjoyable or bring that much relaxation. So she flipped to the index and thumbing down, she spotted a title that looked helpful, Tranquility, author unknown. She turned to it and began to read. Tranquil she lie in dreamless sleep, with conscience clear and mind at rest, her nights were spent in slumber fast. She closed the book and said, would that it were so. Trouble was, her nights were not being spent in slumber fast because her conscience was not clear and her mind was far from at rest. It hadn't been for more than 2 weeks now. She reached for the remote and flipped on the television. Late breaking news, some guy in Higley, Arizona, sentenced to 5 years in jail, convicted of being a common criminal. And she shuddered and turned off the TV because that's what she felt like, a common criminal. She, Frida Nugglesworth, a fine, upstanding citizen, had allowed her usual common sense to leave her long enough to go and pull that great zucchini episode in Bridie Stevenson's garden. And if you heard the story last week, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just imagine, she thought to herself, how low I've sunk, slinking around over there like a thief in the night. In reality, it was just a harmless prank, but it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to, at least not from her perspective, and her mind replayed the whole thing, finding those 3 bushel baskets full of zucchini on her front step one morning, believing it was Bridie Stevenson who had left them there because her garden had overproduced, and she pawned all of these off on Frida and decided to get even. Taking them that fateful September 11th night in that awful rainstorm and laying them down in Bridie Stevenson's garden, almost half of them in the tomato rows rather than the zucchini. And then Bridie coming over the next morning telling her about the miracle that had taken place in her garden, how she had no zucchini at all until God brought that fabulous rainstorm that brought the zucchini on in abundance, supercharged. And then there was that video camera that Bridie told her she'd mounted on the back of the house. And it picked her up slithering around out there. And as we discovered last Sunday, it had all left Frida terribly, well, you remember the word, anxious. Now, Bridie and Frida usually have coffee together 2 or 3 times a week, and Bridie had called a couple of times to invite her over, and once she even mentioned she had made a delightful roasted zucchini souffle she'd like for her to try. But ever since that dreadful night, Frida had not wanted to see Bridie, at least not until she figured out what to say to her. And what had Frida's conscience all on end was, well, it had more than one aspect to it. First off, if Bridie Stevenson didn't leave those zucchini on her doorstep, who did? Secondly, if Bridie truly thought, as it seemed, that the zucchini showing up in her garden was a miracle from God, well, who was she to go trampling on somebody else's miracle? Thirdly, and most importantly, now, how to square this all up with and get things with Bridie back in an even key. Wednesday morning, around 8, the phone rang. Frida had finally fallen asleep around 5, so the phone woke her up with quite a start. Mrs. Nugglesworth? The voice on the other end of the phone said. Yes, replied Frida groggily. I'm Jake Williams here. I live over in the old Herb and Annie Mifflin house. Just moved here last spring. Don't believe we've ever met. No, I don't guess we have, said Frida. Anyway, continued Jake, sorry to bother you, but I'm hoping you can help me with something. I'm not sure what that would be, said Frida, but I could try. Well, said Jake, a couple of weeks ago I was in the city and I went to the farmer's market there and ordered 3 bushels of zucchini. Frida interrupted him in mid-sentence and finished it for him. You got it, said Jake. You know, I checked with the farmer and he claims he delivered them, but it sure enough wasn't here, so I've been calling around trying to find out. Now, Frida's mind was racing. She could see what had happened. Her house and the old Mifflin house were almost identical. She interrupted again and she said, you've been calling around to see if maybe somebody else got a delivery of 3 bushel baskets full of zucchini they didn't order. You got it again, said Jake. Well, said Frida, and she proceeded to tell Jake Williams the whole story. And when she finished, Jake Williams started to laugh. And that must have been some sight, he said. You out there in that storm in the middle of the night in Bridie Stevenson's garden. Too bad there wasn't a video camera. Be a real treat. Don't even go there, Mr. Williams. Listen, I'd be glad to reimburse you for whatever those zucchini cost you. Wasn't near of it, said Jake. Wasn't near of it. Now that I know those zucchini went to a good home, I'm satisfied. Besides, the laugh you've given me is worth every penny that they cost. You take care now, Mrs. Knucklesworth. Hope to meet you in person one of these days. I look forward to it, Mr. Williams, replied Frida, and she hung up the phone. Thanks for calling. Her mind went back to what Pastor Willie Flugel over at the Church of the Reluctant Apostle had read about one Sunday morning not too long ago. It was about how if you were on your way to take your gift to the altar and remembered that your brother or sister had something against you, you were to leave immediately and go be reconciled to your brother or sister and then come back and offer your gift. Pastor Willie's sermon on the text had been called Leaving Before the Benediction. So Frida knew what she must do without delay. She picked up the phone. Hi, Bridie, could I come over for a coffee? I could really use one. Now, Bridie had the coffee poured by the time Frida got over there, and over coffee and some delicious zucchini chocolate chip muffins that Bridie had baked, Frida told Bridie the whole story. And during that time, Bridie alternated between broad smiles and looks of sheer amazement. And when Frida's finished, she said, Bridie, I'm sorry for what I did. Please forgive me. Bridie reached out and touched her hand. She said, don't you give it another thought, my dear. Did you really believe that a miraculous rainstorm had brought on those zucchini that fast? Asked Frida. Bridie laughed at first until I thought about it. Fact was, I was really excited to get those zucchini. It didn't matter how they got there. I still looked on them as a gift from God. It was the same thing. But after you thought about it, how'd you figure they got there? Well, that was a big mystery, said Bridie, but I sure never expected you. That must have been quite a time you spent out there that night. That rain and all. Frida looked off out Bridie's window. She asked, what about the video camera? Bridie laughed. Oh, that kind of scared me, actually. The tape showed a big black Hulk moving around at the edge of the garden. Thought it was a bear. So said Frida that the camera didn't show any more. Nope, replied Bridie, and she laughed, cut out. Must have blown a fuse in the storm. Frida stirred her coffee and looked up, and you're not mad at me? Oh, for heaven's sake, replied Bridie. Here, have another chocolate zucchini muffin. Well, that's the news from our town for this week, at least from the stories that I've heard. So it would seem that, as William Shakespeare once said, all's well that ends well. Everybody's happy. Bridie Stevenson is happy. She got the zucchini she wanted. Jake Williams is happy. The zucchini order, he knows now, went to a good home. And Freddie is happy, having made her confession to her friend Bridie. Her conscience has been cleared, and now she'll be able to put her anxiety to rest and get some good sleep at night. All's well that ends well. But let's take a moment and examine this matter of the conscience. Having something weighing heavily on our conscience can be a very difficult thing, a terrible thing sometimes. And I suspect that most folks have been gripped in its wake at one time or another because, as Mark Twain once said, a clear conscience is a sure sign of a bad memory. Humorist Evan Easer wrote that conscience is what makes a boy tell his mother before his sister does. American satirical journalists define conscience as that inner voice that warns us that somebody else might be looking. That's not too far off of what Dave Foreman suggested in the children's time. I wonder whether our embattled senators Max Hardin, Pamela Wallin, and Mike Duffy's consciences bothered them as they thought about filling out those forms. I mean, they were such trifling amounts, really, weren't they? So long as they pay the money back, that makes it all right. Now, I haven't seen those forms. They tell me they're pretty confusing, filled with lines with such obscure questions as, what province do you live in? How in the world am I supposed to figure that out, said Duffy. One day I'm here and one day I'm there. I'm just a simple fellow. Tough question. Alex Rodriguez. Suspended 211 games for using performance-enhancing drugs, but continuing to play as his appeal is heard. And for most baseball fans, there's something about A-Rod's denial of involvement that just doesn't meet the smell test. And I wonder, when he hears that solid round of booze when he comes to bat these days, does his conscience twig him just a little? I don't know. On the other hand, maybe he's totally innocent and we shouldn't prejudge until all the evidence is in. One thing is clear, though. One thing is clear. Millions and millions of dollars are at stake. And when good-sized gobs of money are at stake, people will do many things. And I wonder if conscience even plays a part. However, these examples, they're just headlines. Let's bring it back closer to home. Have you or I ever had our conscience bother us over something? Or maybe it's bothering us right now. Over something we did that we know we shouldn't have done, and for which we need to make amends. Or maybe it was nothing that we did, rather something that we said that we know we shouldn't have said. Some words or comments that hurt somebody else. Maybe they were meant to be funny, but the other person took them as hurtful. Is there anything such as that about which we need to clear our conscience and put our minds at rest? If so, the scripture reading says that when it comes time in the service for the offering to be taken up, if we remember something like that, we're to leave right then, even before the plate is passed, and go fix it up. You know, we shouldn't get too literal, I suppose, so don't go yet. You can wait till the end. But we need to make amends. Because until we do, there's this little matter of conscience. Amen. Our morning gifts will be received. Gracious God, these gifts we bring. They are but one way in which we give of ourselves. Bless all of our giving. And grant us grace for where these gifts go, to serve the work of your church in our community and in our world. Oh, struggling with issues that seem to be larger than life itself. Struggling with what to think and what to believe. Asking that profound question, why? I see a man trying to work through problems in connection with his personal health. Wondering what it all means. I see a child trying with some difficulty to comprehend, to understand her school. Finding it difficult because she has difficulties learning, hoping for help. I see people today glad, filled with smiles, tomorrow worried because of life changes. But all, gracious God, are your people, all called to live life in faith and hope, and to be assured that you are present with them in all of their doubts and fears and longings. Ready to guard and guide them with your grace. And I see you at work in a world, bringing change where change was not thought possible, bringing hope where all was hopeless, bringing something of renewal where little looked like it could be renewed. We lift up all we know and those who we don't know. Ask for your guarding and guiding hand. Lord, hear our prayers. And in your love and mercy, answer. Amen. All right, including hymn number 417, God as we rise to lead this show of worship, called to the risk of unprotected living. Hymn 417.
Thank
seeking to live in harmony with all others,
and resolving to restore any broken relationships.
we go forward together in peace.
May God's grace attend us this day and always.
So be it.
put you there because showing. I can tell how many of this was there. Yeah, I know. Things happen. How's that guy doing?
He's doing good.
Isn't he? Isn't he? Young man. We had another
The Women's Institute turned 90.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to. She was good, David.